When we think of spiritual practice, we usually picture something calm, right? Something gentle. But what if the very first step wasn't a soft nudge, but a huge jolt, a really urgent wake-up call? Today, we're going to dive into some demanding but incredibly powerful advice from a Seon master on what it truly takes to walk the path. So, right off the bat, the master doesn't start with some calming platitude. Nope, it's a stark warning. Think about how often we say, I'll start tomorrow. His point is, for this journey, tomorrow is a complete illusion. The entire path, everything, hinges on understanding that this exact moment, this is the only opportunity you really have. So, how do we follow this path? We're basically going to trace the master's map. We'll start with why this opportunity is so urgent. Then, we'll talk about forging the right mindset. After that, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of daily practice, then how to avoid the mental traps, and finally, what it even means to reach the end of the journey. Okay, so what makes this moment so vital? What's the big deal? Well, according to the master, just being able to ask that question is the result of something absolutely extraordinary. The idea here is that your curiosity, the thing that brought you here, it's not random. It's actually the result of countless causes and conditions, this really deep-seated thirst for truth that's finally bubbling up to the surface. So the master is framing this as something way more than just another self-improvement hobby. This is like the most important work of your entire life. Understanding the stakes, well, that's one thing, but actually acting on it, that requires a very specific and really powerful mindset. So this is where we shift from just appreciating the opportunity to actually applying ourselves. It's all about forging the will to walk the path. Wow, this is an incredibly intense instruction, isn't it? He's literally saying to carry the thought of life and death around on your forehead. It's not supposed to be some background thought. It's a constant, urgent reminder that should be driving every single thing you do. It makes the practice the absolute center of your entire existence. And this really captures the choice every single practitioner faces, doesn't it? The path on the left, that's the comfortable one. It's familiar, it's full of social distractions and little comforts. It's so easy to get lost there. But the true path, it's stark and it's singular. It's a path of relentless, unwavering focus, where the only goal is to solve that one ultimate question of life and death. All right, so if the mindset is all about that unwavering focus, what are the actual mechanics? What do you do, moment by moment? Let's get into the how-to of this whole practice. So the core tool for this is something called a Hwadu. It's this paradoxical question that's designed not for your intellect, but to actually break your intellect. A famous one is moo. A monk asks if a dog has Buddha nature, and the master just says moo, which means no or not. The goal isn't to try and logically figure it out, but to hold that single baffling word in your mind until it creates the state of great doubt, pushing out everything else. Of course, anyone who's tried to meditate for even 5 minutes knows what the biggest obstacle is: your own mind. So what's the master's advice for when all those distracting thoughts inevitably pop up? And the advice here is totally counterintuitive. Our natural instinct is to fight them, right? To push away unwanted thoughts. But the master says that's a losing battle. The more you struggle against them, the more powerful they actually become. So if you don't fight, what do you do? The master gives us this really beautiful metaphor. You can't force a boiling mind into silence. Instead, you just gently add cool water, which in this case means you just return your focus to the Hwadu, over and over and over. The mind doesn't get forced into submission, it just cools down on its own. But what about when your mind is just too agitated, when it's totally overwhelming? The master gives a very practical, physical reset. Don't just sit there and suffer through it. Get up, walk mindfully, reset your posture, and then gently re-engage with the practice. It's such a simple but brilliant way to use your body to help calm your mind. But even when you have all the right tools, the path is just full of these subtle traps. And what's surprising is that some of the biggest dangers don't look like dangers at all. The obvious traps are here for sure. Laziness, getting distracted. But look at the more subtle ones. Getting attached to a really peaceful meditation, or feeling proud about making a little bit of progress. The master warns that these positive experiences can be just as much of a dead end as feeling discouraged. And this right here is the core principle. The second you develop a preference, liking the quiet sits, disliking the chaotic ones, you've lost the path. The practice isn't about collecting pleasant experiences. It's about developing this unbreakable balance, this radical equanimity. So after all this effort, all this focus, this discipline, this navigating of pitfalls, where does the path actually lead? What is the final destination? The end isn't described as some flashy, mystical vision. It's described as simply clarity. It's like a clear autumn sky where all the clouds of confusion have finally parted, and that allows the sun, which is your own inherent wisdom, to just shine through, completely unobstructed. And this clarity, it isn't just a peaceful feeling. It's a fundamental breakthrough. All those paradoxical questions that used to just baffle your mind are suddenly resolved. The truth isn't some idea you believe in anymore. It's a reality you directly perceive. But even that breakthrough isn't the end. The next step is to have your realization confirmed by a qualified teacher. And once it's been verified, well, that's when the real practice begins. Just living in the world. You're now able to meet joy and sorrow with that same equanimity, responding freely and naturally to whatever life throws your way. And the master leaves us with this one last stunning metaphor: to set sail on a boat without a bottom. What could that possibly mean? It points to a life lived without grasping for security, without fear, just a complete trust in the flow of reality itself. It's a question not really meant to be answered, but to be lived.